Hi besties, can we just have a moment of your time before we start the episode? Can we ask you to please
like, follow, subscribe.
Love ya!
Hi Dr. Marta.
Hello.
Hey besties. Hey. Clinical psychologist, what are your biggest pet peeves?
One of the things is a pet peeve for me at school is the kind of still managing behaviour through punishment and reward. At dinner time, they eat everything on their plate. Oh wow, I'm glad I said it.
You're really great at busting myths.
When you've got a need, you'll ask for help and you won't be like, shh, stay quiet, smile, I'm fine.
Why children lie? What could be going on under the surface there?
Lies can be a wish, that's what I call them. Oh, how could you lie to me? Oops.
Yeah. Now you're on a warning. Have fun with your walk to the plank of time out, basically.
Yeah.
Hey besties, welcome to season 2, episode 5. And I'm super excited to take you behind the scenes again to our live TGMC event. In this episode, I'm interviewing the incredible Dr. Marta. Let's go to the interview.
I'm going to start with the flag. So, wave your flag if you've ever struggled with your students and lying. I thought so. I'm so excited to introduce and welcome Dr. Marta to this season of Behaviour Besties. Welcome to the club. Dr. Marta is a clinical psychologist whose expertise lie in parenting, child development and paediatric health, specialising in sharing a holistic approach to supporting children and parents. Sunday Times best-selling author. Might I add, could we give a whoop whoop for that? In this interview, we are going to learn more about how to tackle issues around children and lying and the debate between warnings versus boundaries.
Hi, Dr. Marta.
Hello.
Hey, besties. Hey. Wow. Yeah, I know. It's cool, isn't it? So, your daughter, you got 2 children, but
I've
your
got
daughter,
2.
is she 5?
She's fine.
Oh my goodness, the knowledge. Now, from your perspective as clinical psychologist, what are your biggest pet peeves when it comes to the school system at the moment?
So first, I feel like I need to say this, but I love teachers. And secondly, no, it's true, I love teachers. I think you do an incredible job and you're not valued enough, like 100%. I really believe that, because I've worked so closely with teachers in like my career. But secondly, I loved school. So I feel like I need to say that. And I was like a model student. I mean, can you believe it? You can believe it, I think. And it's interesting now being, you know, a professional, working with children, and also a mother, that there are things that I'm like, I really thrived with this, but actually I don't think it's necessarily a good thing.
Right.
So I don't think it's a good thing that I was such a good student either.
Tell us more.
I really lack in assertiveness, you know, for one thing. You know, I'm more like, I need to be good all the time. I don't like to be punished, so I'll always be good. And I want that reward. Like, I'm a praise junkie, and I think lots of children from the 80s are praise junkies. So one of the things is a pet peeve for me at school is the kind of still managing behaviour through punishment and reward. I understand the kind of logic and the simplicity of that model, but I think within a classroom setting, all it does, particularly for the children who are not like me, or my daughter is like me, but I still have a pet peeve around it, is that for lots of children who can't attain the reward, what happens is it doesn't motivate them. It does the opposite. It makes them feel like, I'm dumb, why me? I'm the bad kid. And my daughter actually comes home and says, so-and-so is quite naughty. And I'd say, why? And she goes, he never goes on the sunshine, he's always on the cloud. And I'm like, ooh. And it like actually does something to me. So that's one of my pet peeves. We need to move away from those models. And another really big pet peeve that I've talked about recently, but it is a big one, is about attendance. And I don't think it's teachers, you know, I think it's government, I think it's society, structures. But there are so many kids across my career who could never make 100% attendance. I worked in physical health, in paediatrics. Some of my kids used to have to come to the hospital every other week. And although it was an acceptable non-attendance, they would not get a reward. And in my school, they reward them with cinema tickets. And so many kids cry when they're not called up to get a cinema ticket. And parents will say, I'll get you a cinema ticket, it's fine. And they're like, I don't want your cinema ticket. I want it from my school because I've just sat there and been one of the kids who doesn't get called out. So I have an issue with those because I think for the kids it works wonderfully, but it's all the kids it doesn't work for that we should be concerned about because it's harming their self-esteem, it's unmotivating them to learn, rather than motivating them to do better. Often it makes kids just go, I give up, there's not much point. One of my pet peeves, and I don't know if this is true for all schools, but because my 5-year-old experiences it, so I'm going to say it, and she does not like this one, is that they get a sticker at dinner time if they eat everything on their plate. Oh wow, I'm glad I said it.
You made it more.
And she gets really upset by this because, again, child of the 80s, I ate everything on my plate. Of course I did. Even if I wasn't hungry, I would eat it all up. And we try to teach my daughter as much as we can. We try, and I actually find this quite hard because it goes against lots of the stories I was told, to listen to her body. So I have to trust when she's like, I'm not hungry anymore. And she's been made to miss playtime to finish more of what's on her plate. And then she's come home and cried. And she's never had a sticker, which we've told her we're really proud of because she eats as much as she needs. Like, and I trust her, and that's okay. She comes home, she has a big dinner, like, I trust her, but I'm not into this idea of you have to eat everything that's on your plate. Like, it just goes against everything I talk about.
Yeah, it's about that autonomy, isn't it?
Yeah.
Same with attendance, because you've just come after Susie talking about the importance of knowing our body and knowing what we need.
Exactly.
And we
It's
want
all
to
that.
echo that for our children.
Yes.
And super toxic when we say, just got to crack on.
Yes.
Business as usual.
And also for the attendance bit, to me, that really feeds into a narrative which so many of my colleagues have experienced recently, into getting burnt out at work and not even recognising it as a problem because we're so used to just being like, I'm just going to push myself, I'm sick, I've got a broken toe, you know, whatever, I'm just going to carry on, it does not matter. And it's really not healthy. Like, our bodies need rest to recover, and then so we can be at our best potential. Otherwise, children can be at school and you can tick that box, but if they're sitting there not learning or doing anything useful, what's the point? Like, I don't see the point, really.
It's a barrier before you start. You're really great at busting myths.
Oh, gosh.
So let's bust some myths, shall we? Can children manipulate us?
Well, it's a very broad question. My short answer is no. My more nuanced answer is when they become teenagers, of course they can. But young children, we're talking about little ones, they haven't got the cognitive capacity, they haven't developed enough to be able to do things like put themselves in your shoes. They can't do the whole like pros and cons of how I'm going to do. So if I do X, Y, and Z, I'm going to get this outcome, but I could manipulate it to get the other outcome. They can't do that. So they just act the way they feel. And more often than not, the things that we call manipulations are things that are, for our children, they are basic needs that are being unmet. But we might be tired, depleted, frustrated, whatever. And so we see our child screaming or needing attention like it's a bad thing, because having attention is not a bad thing. And we're just like, oh, they're manipulating us. Or, you know, at bedtime, oh, it's a manipulation. Or it's a need to connect with you because they've missed you all day. Or it's because there is something frightening in their bedroom and they feel scared, even if for you that's illogical. So, you know, it's not true, like scientifically true, but of course when they're teenagers, they have that ability and perspective. So of course they can manipulate the same way we can.
So am I right in saying a lot of it comes from a lack of skills and being able to communicate an unmet need?
Yes, skills, ability to communicate, but also brain development, like, you know, in order to get that perspective on other people, they need to have a well-developed prefrontal cortex, which is not really, it's there, but it's not switched on. It's just kind of growing. It's the slowest part of our brain to mature. And that's a really healthy thing because it allows us to make mistakes and learn so that by the time it matures, we're in a better place, hopefully. But it's also quite hard for us because they're very impulsive. Like little ones are very impulsive and they follow their feelings rather than follow like a logical thought, which is why the idea that they're manipulating just doesn't make any kind of developmental sense.
Can we just kind of nail down on that? Because we are primary educators.
Okay, great.
So from a primary perspective, can a child manipulate us?
No.
That's good to know. It's good to know, see? So now we can say no, absolutely not, categorically.
Categorically,
Thank you.
no.
And let's talk about fake tears.
Okay.
What's your take on this?
I don't believe that fake tears are fake. I believe that children, everything they do, behaviour is communication. And there's a lot of science around that. And when children cry and you don't see the tears, it's still an expression of pain or distress or a need. And it doesn't matter that you don't see the tears. I mean, the fact that we have to like push children to actually create tears in their bodies to believe them, to me, makes no sense, right? If a child is whining or being like, ah, like you just have to believe that what they're experiencing is painful. Because if we are adults, we may not do fake tears in the same way, but we might show distress without our tears coming out. And we wouldn't say to an adult, you're not actually in pain or you're not suffering because I can't see you cry. So we shouldn't be doing that to children either, really.
Do you think as adults we have different behaviours with that? Instead of fake tears, we might try and mask it, or we might snap at someone instead and it just comes out in a different way?
Instead of what fake tears look like for kids?
Yeah.
I think lots of adults will mask it in terms of like, I'm fine. Right? Like sometimes we're not fine and we find it really hard to say it, even if it's not something that brings up tears, like we're in pain or we're distressed or we're sad or whatever it is, annoyed. I think for some adults it can come out in anger, because anger is a real protector of sadness and more vulnerable emotions. So it might be snappiness or it might be kind of passive aggressiveness. But, you know, often if I see fake tears, I always believe them. And I would always say to a child, like, what's up? You know, what's happening? You're struggling. I can see you're struggling. And so when we communicate that to little ones, they feel seen, they feel understood, even if you don't really get it. And I often have to suspend my own, you know, belief. Like my daughter, if she has like a tiny scratch, like honestly, it's so small, she will be like, ah. And then she'll be like, I need a plaster.
The plasters always help, though, don't? I'm like, I'll get you a plaster, honey. Don't worry, I've got some.
Yeah, and sometimes her dad will say, no, you don't need one. And I'm like, just get her a plaster. But I'm like, oh, that really hurts, doesn't it? Oh, it's like, I can't walk. It's like the smallest scratch, like on her knee. I'm like, you can't walk. Pick me up, mommy. Oh, okay. But I think believing them helps, because they're like, my experience right now is distressing. And I'm not my daughter. I am not in her body. I actually don't know what that feels like on her knee, because that's her knee, not my knee. And I really do believe that if we say to our children what you experience is real, when they become adults, they won't be adults like me, who really struggle sometimes to express her needs, because I'm like, no one will believe me. So unless it's really, really bad, I just won't say anything. And I don't think I'm unique. I think it's especially common for women. Girls, I think we're socialised to stay quiet, to, you know, not make too much of a fuss. And therefore, when we have a need, we shut it down. And it's taken me like, you know, over 30 years to be like, actually, my needs are worthy to be heard, and it's okay for me to express myself. And I love that I've got a 5-year-old who can do that already, and I refuse to shut her down, no matter how hard that is sometimes. I don't want to, because I'm like, hopefully one day when you've got a need, you'll ask for help, and you won't be like, shh, stay quiet, smile, I'm fine. Because I don't think that's healthy. Like, as a clinical psychologist, mental health-wise, that's not healthy.
Thank you. It all goes back down to that mental health principle, right? Advocating for yourself. And from what you're saying with the fake tears is treat it as though it's absolutely 100% genuine. Yeah.
Treat them like they're there. Yeah. Absolutely.
Let's talk about sharing.
Okay.
Yeah. So, can you just share? I mean, that happened. Give us a flag, hun buns. Like how many times in school where, you know, they're using that smelly gel pen. Still fantastic. Pokemon cards. Oh, just share. Can you just share?
So hard. I think in a school setting it is harder, is what I would say. Yeah. So what I tend to say for families is probably I would tweak it for schools, because it's not going to necessarily work. I would say about sharing that my daughter, I've got a baby, an 8-month-old, and she said the other day, but she never shares and she snatches. And I was like, she's a baby, honey. Let me tell you about sharing, because she's not going to share with you for a long time.
Buckle up.
So let's brace ourselves for this experience.
It's going to be tough.
It is going to be tough. And I said to her, and you don't have to share with her either. Like your toys, I protect my oldest toys from the little one, but she wants to play with the little ones, and obviously the little one just grabs stuff. Anyway, that's an aside. Sharing is a really complicated concept. And there is a lot of research, very good, interesting, really interesting research about the fact that true sharing doesn't really begin till they're about 4 years old. And in order to truly share with someone, you need to have enough for yourself. So what the research says is when we have enough of something, like I've got enough lovely yellow flowers, I might be willing to share some, but I have to have some left over for me. Otherwise, I'm not sharing.
You're giving.
I'm giving, right? Like giving a present. And that's a different experience. Okay? But if I only had one flower and you were like, just share it, I'd be like, I want my flower. So then what happens when parents say just share is that it's not the child learning to share or experience generosity, which is the concept I think we want to build in children. Like the experience of generosity comes from feeling good about giving something to somebody else and still having something for you. But when a parent says just share, it's the parent who's sharing. It's the parent who's acting generous through their child as a vehicle. And it doesn't build generosity, it builds resentment. Because children if you've done it once, by the way, you're fine, okay? Or twice, or 10 times, it's okay. It's the constant, just share, share, share. Or look, they're crying, so give it to them. Okay, when we do that, two things happen. They're crying, so just pass it on. You're pacifying someone who's crying, making them better. You're saying to your child that other child's needs are more important than yours, okay? We need to make that child better. The other child also learns, when I cry hard enough, I get what I want. This is cool. And it does play up in our adult society. Like, I think I can really see it sometimes in adults. There are the adults who are the ones who shout enough. And I'll be honest, this often happened in hospital when I worked in the NHS. And medical teams would say, that parent gets everything. I'd be like, yeah, they're the one who shouts enough. They're always shouting. They're always, voicing things. And so they get so much more than everybody else. And then there'd be other parents who'd be like, oh, no, you can go first. I'm that parent.
I'll go to the back.
Yeah. I'll go to, you know what, I'll just wait. An extra hour's fine. It's true though.
Yeah.
And it's really important that we don't do that we actually understand the concept of generosity, that we move with our children's development, because my daughter's really good at sharing, actually. I know I said that to her about her little sister, but she was talking about her little sister, not sharing with her. She's incredibly good at sharing without asking her for anything. She will get a slice of cake often and say, Mummy, do you want to taste some? And she'll cut it up. It'll be a little bit for you, a little bit for Daddy.
Cute.
It's a little bit, okay?
You're not going to get a bit more.
Yeah. Just bite a little bit of the cookie. Mummy, only a little bite. But she's sharing. Yeah. And she does it like honestly and genuinely because it feels good to her. And often when she was much smaller, I would say to her, have you noticed how that little kid is, have you noticed what they're doing right now after you gave them a crisp, a bit of cake, a cookie, whatever? She'd be like, they're smiling. I'm like, yeah, why are they smiling? Oh, they like the cookie. Yeah, who gave them a cookie? Me! I gave them the cookie. And she'd like beam. And I was like, that's what we want to build. But it has to come from her, not from me or the adult, because it just doesn't work.
From a strategic perspective, how can we approach that as educators in the classroom?
So I think in a classroom, the bit that I would change is usually with parents, I would say, let your child have an item. It's often a toy, isn't it? Until they're done. And I would normally say, you don't have to share your toy until you're finished. When you're finished, Tommy wants it. So put it here. Tommy, I'm going to keep my eye on you. You want it next. You could try that in the classroom, but it depends on the item, right? If there's one per table and you've got 5 tables, it might work. But if there's only one and you've got 30 kids, it's not going to work. So I believe in turn taking. Yeah. And it's a really good strategy. And if you use a visual timer, kids watch the timer. Yeah. The sand. So I would say I'm going to set an auditory timer. like a bell or like ding, 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 and say like, you need to trust me. And obviously they will trust you because you're their teachers. But you know, I'm going to ring the bell when it's time to swap round or whatever it is that you're doing. And I think that can work really well because then kids aren't watching the timer. Kids are just spending time with the item and fully immersing themselves in it rather than how long have I got or how long have I got? And then that also can build resentment, right? Because they're not enjoying the moment. They're actually preempting giving it away. So an auditory timer, take turns and make sure that everybody can have a go, that wants to have a go as much as you can.
I also think one of the best skills to like practice this is board games.
Yeah, they're great.
So good. But there's so many of our children like might not have experienced them. Because it's not really a board game generation. It's like a Minecraft
love board
vibe.
Games.
But I think
I mean, I put them in my book.
They're so good.
They're so good. I'm so old school. But they're really good because they build emotional regulation skills as well. Like being a good loser and a good winner is important. And actually lots of parents say to me, but I'm a terrible loser. And I'm like, great, this is practice for you too. Like you have to model to your child what it looks like to be like, I've lost. And it's okay to be sad. But you can't like throw the board and scream at everyone, you know, which little ones will do. And of course, it's appropriate for them until they learn to do better. But it's our jobs to kind of teach them. So I think board games are great. Turn taking.
Because they have the rules.
They have the rules.
And I think it doesn't have to be...
winning, losing. It's a great experience.
And you understand that concept because you're in a game. But when you're in life, you're like, wait, what?
Yes.
Whereas with games, you understand that. And I think it doesn't have to be like, oh, no maths today, board games.
It's a learning tool.
Exactly. Yeah. We make the maths the games. We make that part of it. So we're still building up those skills. Okay, we're going to go on to a biggie. Okay, one of the trickiest behaviours we navigate in school, and it constantly comes up with my TGMCers, is lying. Can you shed some insight as to why children lie? What could be going on under the surface there?
It's a really big question, so I could talk about it for a long time, but I'll try not to. First of all, lying is a developmental milestone. It's about children's brains starting to understand like two concepts at once. So when they're able to lie, it's a little bit like the manipulation question. It means that a child has begun very often in a very kind of rudimentary way to understand there is a truth and then there's an alternative. Well,
what's that like?
What is this? And initially what you might see is lies are very fantastical, right? Especially with tiny little ones. So lies can be a wish, that's what I call them. It's a wish. I wish this had happened. Like, I wish I'd washed my hands when you told me to, but I got too engaged in this toy playing activity. And I'm like, yes, I did it. But, you know they haven't, for example. So sometimes it's a wish. Sometimes, and often lies, particularly as they grow up, is protective. So I see lies as a protective tool, a survival tool. I actually know lots of adults who lie a lot, and I wouldn't call them compulsive liars. I would say they struggle to be really honest with the truth because they fear rejection and they fear, little ones will fear punishment, right? Or the biggest punishment, your disappointment, that you won't love them anymore, that you will look down on them, that you'll think badly of them, that you will see that they actually feel bad of themselves because they've done something. So lies are protective, and for that reason, whether it's controversial or not, just going to say it. For that reason, for me, finding the truth is not always the most important thing. For me, when you see a lie and you know it's a lie, you need to understand the why. You need to get really curious about why would a child lie? What are they getting from this? What's the positive for them? They're not bad kids, okay? I never think kids are bad, but I do think they try and protect themselves. So what is happening here? Are they protecting a friend? Are they protecting themselves? What are they scared of? Are they scared of you? Is there a reward punishment system in your school that means that this kid is like, please don't notice because otherwise I won't get X, Y, and Z. So for me, it's about understanding the why. And often lots of parents will say about, oh, my child lied to me, and then when they told me the truth, I told them, thank you, or not thank you, because that's what I asked them to say, but, oh, how could you lie to me? Oops.
It was very dramatic.
Very dramatic. How could you lie to me? Like, lying is the worst. If you told me the truth, I wouldn't be angry, but now you lied, I'm angry. And I always say, but that completely takes away what you're trying to get your child to do, which is be honest with you. Because if you punish a child for lying, they just become better liars. They learn that actually being honest is a bit dangerous, and that even if it takes them 2 weeks, 3 weeks, a month, and they show honesty, you're still going to punish them. So it's better never to be honest, right? Let's just hide that from people. So I believe in not always finding the truth, allowing children to speak their truth, because often it will come out. When they trust you, they will say it. And often, it happens with my daughter, she'll say, oh, this happened, but it didn't really, mummy. This other thing happened. But sometimes it takes her a while. And I just let it go, because I know, especially as teachers, you probably know the truth. So just let it be. And with bigger stories, I mean, I've written one in my book, which did happen in a school, and it was a big thing. And obviously I amended the story. It was bigger than that. But this young boy was so scared that his friend would get into so much trouble. And he was really worried about his friend, like to the point of, I will go down before my friend goes down. And nobody understood him. And he got punished for lying, not for sharing the story. And I've always wondered, how different would that young boy be if he'd found teachers, you know, adults in his school who said to him, I'm not going to punish you or your friend. I'm going to try and help you. Because it changes how, like, that young man's story carries on. He got major detention, and they all got sent out of school for weeks, and it wasn't helpful. Like, he doesn't trust a teacher now. So when something bad happens to him or his friend, and this was serious stuff, which I haven't really put in my book because it's confidential, but really serious stuff happening to this other young boy at home, teachers didn't support him, you know? And this kid was not going to start talking to teachers and say, please help me with my friend, because he was like, well, no, because I know you're all going to punish us. So I'm like, closed doors. And that's really dangerous. I'd rather kids lied and we kind of say to them, I trust you to tell me the truth, or I trust that you believe that's what happened, and that's okay. Okay, and I'm here for you so we can keep talking about this topic, rather than I'm going to punish you because you lied, because that doesn't help kids like move forward or get the support they need.
I love that. That was literally going to be my next question, like, what should we say? So it's just that I trust you to tell the truth when you're ready.
Okay, if that's what happened, I believe you. Let it go.
Yeah. And
if it's something really big that you can say, okay, you really wish that happened, didn't you? We're going to keep talking about this. And talk to them, not in front of the whole class.
Yeah.
Like, you know, keep it private, be respectful. You know, as teachers, you've got good gut instincts. You know your kids better than I know your kids in your classroom. You know, I think you need to see a lie a little bit like a little tiny light bulb that says, I'm struggling here. You know, there's something I'm scared of, worried about. Because kids who are not worried, who trust, who are comfortable, they don't need to lie. And I've met kids who lie because they're like, please don't tell my mum and dad. And you don't know as teachers what happens at home, okay? You don't know. You don't know the stories that are at home. And therefore, a bit like that other kid, it can be quite risky to also be another adult who is like, you know, not on their side. You need to have, kids need adults on their side, and I think teachers are so key. You play such a vital role for so many children who don't feel like adults trust them, see them, understand them, nurture them. You're those people. Like, I hope you know that, because you are. The amount of kids I speak to who I'm like, so tell me at school, who is your favourite person? And they'll name a teacher. Like, that matters, you know? Like, if they don't name their friend first, they name one of you. Like, that's really important.
Would I be right in saying that the more you focus on the actual lie, the more you fracture that relationship and trust?
Yes.
That they feel like, I'm not safe.
Yes.
Because this lie seems really important. And
yes.
I'm now too
You're
scared.
You're kind of making it bigger than it is. Yes.
Okay, amazing. Right, I could ask you 1,001 questions, but I'm going to go with one last topic. I love your work on boundaries. And I think this is what is really pivotal in our classrooms.
Okay.
Because what we have in schools, which I don't know is in your daughter's school, but it's a real staple, and it's 3 kind of warnings, often. 3 warnings, and then time out, no play, removal of privileges, etc. And I think what we really need to get better at is boundaries. And can you explain the difference between a warning and a boundary?
So a warning, I mean, in really simple terms, a warning is like a threat. If you don't do X, this happens. A boundary is like a rule. It's a bit more than a rule, but I'm keeping it simple. Okay, a boundary is when this happens, this is the outcome. Okay, it's not an if then, it's a this is the rule of the classroom. I don't know what like if I ring the bell twice, it means you'll have to stand up. Okay, it's a rule. It's not if I ring the bell, then you have to stand up. And if you don't stand up the first time, then this other thing happens, the timeout.
Yeah.
Right? It's like, it's an expectation. So what you're doing is building, hopefully, healthy expectations on your kids. And boundaries, you try and set them so that they are successful for children. So you don't want kids to mess up and not be able to meet them. You want to keep the boundary as simple as you can, so that they can all meet it, and then you can up the boundary is what I call it. You can make it a little bit higher if needed, like in a classroom. So, a little one, I don't know what it could be, but, a little one jumping up and down on this chair, the boundary might be, we sit on our chairs. So I would repeat the boundary. Chairs are for sitting, not jumping. You can jump over there in that corner, because that's the jumping spot. Okay, can you jump on the spot? Yeah, great. Okay, you ready to sit on your chair? That's boundary. Warning, if you keep jumping on the chair, you're going on a timeout. Warning 2, you're still jumping. That's a warning. Does that make...
Absolutely.
Am I explaining
You are. So you're basically saying with the boundary, you are repeating the agreed expectations that you have agreed with your class, which often will say things like, we don't say we put our hands up, but let's say we do. We put our hands up to ask a question. Or we don't call out, I love your answer though, but you're going to tell me by doing this. So it's reaffirming the agreed expectation and giving the choice of how to succeed, rather than saying that was wrong and now you're on a warning. Have fun with your walk to the plank of time out, basically. And like really demotivating them. It's giving them that chance to succeed. That's beautiful. That's super helpful.
Okay,
Thank
great.
you. That was wonderful. As I said, I could ask you a million things, but we've come to the end. But I know, it's so speedy, isn't it? Do you have a quote or a mantra? You'd like to leave our besties
This is really hard. I mean, Susie Redding is the queen of beautiful mantras, not me, not me. My mantra, I mean, I say this on other topics. My mantra for me as a mother is, this anger I see is not about me. It's kind of become a bit of a tune in my head.
But anger I see.
It's not about me. Like, it really helps me, like when, my child tantrums, etc., to kind of depersonalize it, like it's not personal. But do I have a mantra?
I think that's a great one.
That's a great one.
By the way, that was fantastic.
Okay.
I feel like you're like, it's not good enough, but we absolutely love it.
That's fine. That's fine.
This anger I see is not about me is glorious.
Yes, and you might see that in your classroom, I guess.
Yeah, that's amazing. And where can we find you? Not in life, on Instagram. Yes. I don't want to share.
I'm on Instagram. I have a website where I've got some book recommendations, and it often adds up. So they're just, I've displayed them so you can look at them and stuff. They're all books that I've used. They're all books I've read and used with kids. And I use them as conversation starters. So I often say to parents, I don't just read a book from beginning to end, which you can do and is beautiful. I also just flick to a page and talk about the pictures, like emotions or what's that child feeling or whatever. So I've got a lovely set of books there and lots of resources. Where else can you find me?
And your handle is Dr. Marta Psychologist, isn't it?
Yes.
People will want to know.
Dr.Marta.Psychologist.
Good. The dots are important. And the name of your book is?
How to Be the Grown Up.
Amazing. Thank you so much, Marta.
I love you.
Hey besties, I'm so excited to say that Behaviour Besties is sponsored by the amazing Sage Publications. And I am lucky enough to say that my book was published by Sage, Behaviour, The Lost Modules. They are the leading publication company for educational literature. And guess what? We have got a discount code for you. Yes, besties, check the notes to get your discount code and get your CPD on.